exposing the billion-dollar mystery behind Bill Gates and the Philippines, because everybody is looking for the truth behind this jaw-dropping rumor. Did Bill Gates, the man behind Microsoft, really just hand the Philippines $1 trillion? Imagine that. Picture a mountain of cash next to a waving Philippine flag, and across the water, China's leaders watching in shock. This rumor exploded online, sounding more like a blockbuster movie than real life. But in a world where billionaires launch rockets and social media shapes reality, could it be true? This isn't about charity, it's about power. The claim, Gates's money is to help the Philippines stand up to China, a David versus Goliath story with $1 trillion twist. One person, not a country, drawing a line against a superpower. It's a move that could change Asia's future. Bill Gates, a symbol of American tech and wealth, backing a smaller nation against a giant. The story spread fast because it taps into our hopes and fears, underdogs, bullies, and the power of money. Can a private citizen decide the fate of nations? That's the question. This is about the new rules of power, where money talks louder than ever. We need to look closer and unpack this wild claim. Is this a brave act for freedom or something else? The world is watching. Let's dive in and find the truth behind the $1 trillion rumor. Who is Bill Gates? To some, he's a hero, the nerd who built Microsoft and then gave away billions to fight disease and improve lives. Through his foundation, he's spent decades tackling global problems, but others see a ruthless businessman who shaped the world to his own vision. They worry about one man having more influence than governments. Gates is both a symbol of generosity and immense power. He doesn't just donate to libraries, he tries to end diseases for continents. He's always thought big, working with world leaders and shaping global projects. So when a story emerges about him making a massive move on the world stage, people pay attention. It fits his history of taking on giant problems, whether it's a virus or a superpower. Recently, he's spoken out about global cooperation and criticized US foreign policy decisions. He's not just a quiet donor anymore, he's an active player in global influence. This makes the $1 trillion rumor feel just a little more possible. Gates is willing to challenge political leaders and take public stands. He's not afraid to use his wealth to make big things happen. That's why this story captured the world's imagination. The $1 trillion story was never about charity. It was framed as a strategic power move, one man arming a nation against its powerful neighbor. The money was for defense, technology, and economic strength, a war chest, not a charity fund. The rumor spread through secretive messages and viral headlines, making it feel urgent and real. It was supposedly a quiet deal, giving the Philippines power to push back against China in the South China Sea. By calling it a strategic investment, the story painted Gates as a geopolitical mastermind. He wasn't just helping, he was picking a side in a global conflict. Is he an activist, a patriot, or a kingmaker? The rumor left his true motives unclear. Maybe he sees stopping China as a moral mission, or maybe there's a business angle. The suspense comes from not knowing his real goal. This is more than fake news, it's political theater. The story didn't need to be true to be powerful, it just needed to be believable. It played on US-China tensions and the Philippines' vulnerable position. It was modern propaganda built for an age of anxiety and instant information. The real suspense: what would such a move mean for the world? Why the Philippines? It's all about location. The Philippines sits beside the South China Sea, a vital and contested waterway. China claims almost all of it, building military bases and making neighbors nervous. The Philippines is a key US ally with a mutual defense treaty. This makes it a frontline state in the US-China rivalry. For America and its allies, a strong Philippines keeps the South China Sea open. If China controls the Philippines, it controls the region. The country is caught between economic ties to China and military reliance on the US. Tensions have grown, with Chinese ships harassing Filipino vessels. The Philippines' small military struggles to stand up to China. This context makes the $1 trillion story so powerful, the perfect underdog narrative. The idea of a wealthy benefactor stepping in is a powerful fantasy. The Philippines' strategic importance makes it the perfect stage for a global drama. Imagine if the story were true. What could the Philippines do with $1 trillion? That's more than 3 times its yearly economic output. First, the military. The Philippines could buy the world's best equipment: jets, warships, submarines, missile defenses. They could build a powerful coast guard and invest in surveillance tech to monitor the South China Sea. The balance of power would shift overnight, but it's not just about weapons. $1 trillion could supercharge the economy: new roads, ports, airports, and a tech revolution. Millions of high-paying jobs could be created, making the Philippines an economic powerhouse. A stronger economy means less dependence on any single foreign power. The money could also fix healthcare, build world-class universities, and ensure stable energy. A healthier, better educated population is the foundation of a strong nation. The Philippines would be more resilient to outside pressure. $1 trillion would buy security, prosperity, and independence. It would turn the Philippines into a leading Asian power. If Gates really gave the Philippines $1 trillion, China's reaction would be furious. Beijing would see it as a direct attack, not charity, a US proxy war by a billionaire. China would likely retaliate with trade embargoes, boycotts, and military pressure. The South China Sea could become a flashpoint, risking accidental conflict. The US would face a dilemma: support a stronger Philippines, but worry about a billionaire driving foreign policy. Allies like Japan and Australia would be concerned about instability. Europe would call for calm, fearing global trade disruption. The world would be divided, some cheering Gates, others condemning him. Media would go into overdrive, debating the legality and wisdom of Gates' actions. The UN would hold emergency meetings and markets would tumble. The world, already tense, would be thrown into a new crisis, all sparked by one man's fortune. The fallout would be global and unpredictable. Why would Gates do it? Is he a defender of democracy, or is this about power? Maybe he sees China's rise as a threat to the free world and wants to protect global values. He could be stepping up where governments have failed, a modern-day hero. But there's a more cynical view. Is this about influence? Such a move would make Gates one of the most powerful people on earth, accountable to no one. Critics argue his philanthropy lets him impose his agenda on the world. Could there be a profit motive? $1 trillion investment would reshape Southeast Asia's economy. Maybe it's about creating new markets or weakening China's control. Gates is a brilliant businessman. Doing good could also be good for business. Motives are complex, a mix of idealism, power, and opportunity. The truth is rarely simple. He's neither pure saint nor villain, but when one person can change the world, we have to ask, who is he really working for? Questioning motives is essential when so much is at stake. Here's the truth. There's no evidence Bill Gates gave the Philippines $1 trillion. Fact-checkers have debunked it. There's been no official announcement. It's fake news, but that doesn't mean it's unimportant. The story is powerful because it feels plausible in today's world. It reflects our anxieties about China, our hopes for underdogs, and our uncertainty about power. We're living in a time when the lines between nations and individuals are blurring. The shutdown of USAID shows how real-world events make such stories believable. When governments step back, people wonder who will fill the void, other countries or powerful individuals. The fake story is a fantasy created to fill that gap. Even as a lie, it has consequences. It changes conversations and plants ideas. It forces us to ask new questions about billionaires in geopolitics and the power of viral stories. How do we find truth when fact and fiction blur? The story may be false, but the issues it raises are real. In the battle for influence, a powerful story can be as effective as a battleship. So where does this leave us? We're left with a wild story that, while untrue, opens up big questions. It forces us to consider a world where private wealth challenges national power. If it were real, would you see it as a bold move for freedom, or a reckless gamble by an unelected billionaire? The idea of a hero swooping in is appealing, decisive, powerful, and exciting. Maybe the world needs bold private actors to defend democracy when politicians won't. But it's also terrifying. Who holds billionaires accountable? What if the next cause isn't so noble? This sets a precedent where the super-rich decide the world's fate. It could undermine democracy and lead to chaos. This is the debate the $1 trillion story forces us to have. The world is changing and the old rules of power are being rewritten. So what's your take? Is this the future of foreign policy or a threat to global stability? Let us know in the comments.